Women make up 70% of the healthcare workforce, but only 20% of its leadership. On Her Story, we'll explore the careers of bold and influential women from Silicon Valley to Capitol Hill and learn how they've overcome the odds. This is Her Story, a program where we explore what's beyond the glass ceiling.
Everybody has mental health, and everyone has to deal with it. Alison Darcy said that in our interview with her on day 0. According to the World Health Organization, mental health conditions are increasing worldwide. Additionally, the demand for mental health services is increasing as well. This episode is part 1 of a special 2-part series on mental health. We compiled insights from leaders interviewed on both Her Story and Day 0, discussing the state of mental health care in terms of perception, practice, and patient choice. Today's episode will feature Stephanie Hartselle, MD, a pediatric and adult psychiatrist and the CEO of Hartselle and Associates. We will also hear from Alison Darcy, who is the president and founder of Woebot Health, and we will wrap up with a segment from Solomé Tibebu. She is a senior fellow for digital transformation at Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute and the founder and host of Going Digital, behavioral health tech. Let's start off with Dr. Hartselle. She discusses the changing portrayal of mental health in media.
And so I consume so many shows, and it's part of, I give several different types of lectures at Brown University in the medical school, but the main ones that I give usually incorporate clips from different movies, all the way back from, I think the oldest movie that I use was filmed in the 1940s, all the way up to contemporary shows and movies, but, illustrating the way that personality disorders or mental illness and wellness are portrayed in the media. And so I'll show a clip and we'll discuss, this is what they're trying to get at. This is what they, I think, get right about, how this could present. This is where I wish that there was, a little bit more of the dignity or respect around how this can manifest in other ways, presented. And oddly, several years ago, one of the medical students was a good friend of an assistant director in Hollywood, and I was emailed by a company stating that they were making a movie and they wanted to get my perspective on character development. And at the time, one of the first ones was Birds of Prey, which is based on comic books and has Harley Quinn in it. It was this really amazing connection, and I got to speak with the director, which was awesome. And I got to talk about the characters in that movie and how they might have experienced some trauma, previously in their life, and how it might have manifested, and the way that she wanted to shoot the film.
Dr. Hartselle is bringing mental health representation in Hollywood to the 21st century. Similarly, Alison Darcy is working to update practices in the healthcare industry. Let's hear from her.
The reality of the numbers of people suffering in the population just going through the roof at a much faster pace than we had expected as a field. The knowledge that we don't have enough resources to deal with everybody, and that actual sort of fundamental architecture of therapy is not scalable. I started to really believe that sort of our system around mental health care is not just not scalable, but it's kind of flawed from a design perspective. And that the architecture, the basic design of what a session looks like had been, I guess, could be traced back to sort of the Freudian era, the 1890s. But we have never really evolved beyond that in a meaningful sense. And I just thought, in particular, young people and various subgroups, God, therapy is like just a bad design in lots of ways. Not the therapeutic process itself, but the architecture around it, the structure, the needing to go to a clinic, the limitation around it being, one-to-one interactions and things with another human. In the US, I think there's like 25 or 35% of the population living in places with no access to any behavioral health services. So it was just a bit of a problematic field, to say the least.
The systems around mental health care need updating, and the demand for mental health services continues to increase. To wrap up, let's hear from Solomé Tibebu.
There's so much more funding and attention, and behavioral health is on the mind of everyone now. which is great, and I hope continues. I think a lot of what has fed into that is consumer sentiment, this next generation. I mean, there's still stigma, don't get me wrong, but particularly around mild to moderate anxiety, depression, next generation is absolutely more comfortable talking about mental health. And as they have begun to enter the workplace, they even expect those kinds of benefits to be there. And so I do see a lot of employers investing in digital behavioral health solutions as a result. Additionally, the connection between behavioral health and physical health, anywhere you look in any kind of healthcare publication, health plans are talking about how the impact of behavioral health or how they're providing solutions for behavioral health are impacting a lot of, quite frankly, expensive physical issues. And I think that's only driving further investment to want to adopt behavioral health solutions. I think it's been common sense for a long time, but now there's a ton more data, and behavioral health startups are adopting measurement-based care type of, how should I say, solutions internally baked into their products that they're better able to demonstrate that they're providing those cost savings.
From movies to health systems, perceptions about behavioral and mental health are changing. Patients are more interested and more willing to access care. However, as Ali pointed out, mental health care is challenging to scale. It's expensive and labor-intensive due to the one-on-one nature of appointments. How is healthcare going to meet the growing demand for mental health services? The answer to that is in part 2. Next week, check out Day 0 for part 2 of this series. We will hear from founders and leaders about the innovations taking place in the mental health industry.